Today we're going to talk about tonic water, and it's a popular topic. People still like gin and tonics today, but it has this historical element to it where it goes back hundreds of years as a treatment for malaria. And obviously you can buy cinchona bark, which was the original source of quinine, in the tonic, and it's pretty easy to get anywhere. People just have this curiosity about making their own tonic water. I get lots of questions about it, so I'm going to give you some tips on how to make it. But before we do that, we are going to have to talk about the safety of this. Sometimes there can be enough in here to cause serious health issues, even death if you're not careful. Quinine can be that toxic. So let's go through that, and then I'll give you some tips on how to make tonic water. I'm Darcy O'Neill, and this is Art of Drink. Now, this is kind of one of the questions I get asked a lot, is how to make tonic water. But I've kind of delayed on this just because there is a toxic effect of quinine, and you have to be careful when you use it. Now, I say quinine, some people say quinine, and others say quinine. Quinine's British, quinine's American. I'm Canadian, so I do quinine. And you say it whichever way you want. But that content of quinine in here can go above a certain level. Typically they used it as a prophylactic for malaria, and they did use high doses, but that's not really the concern. The concern is modern medicine. So back in the day, they were just treating everything with herbs and spices and barks and whatnot. Today we have a lot more intense medications, and quinine tends to cause a lot of side effects when mixed with those medications. So there are 454 known interactions of modern drugs with quinine, and there's 6 or 7 diseases that interact with it, and that is part of the problem. Also, cinchona bark's just not pure quinine. There's quinidine and a couple other alkaloids in there. They're less of an issue than the quinine, but they are still something you need to factor in when you're making your tonic. Once we know that, we just know we have to be kind of cautious when we're using this. Now, the real issue for me, beyond the medical interactions, is that when you buy cinchona bark, you don't know how much quinine is in it. So this is from a Toronto supplier, and it basically on the label, it just says cinchona bark, the lot number, and the weight. So there's real no indication of quinine content. But if you look that up online, it can be anywhere from technically 0%. Some cinchona bark doesn't have it. They have quinidine and other alkaloids. But it can also have up to 16%, at least in historical books, that's what it says. Now that's a big, wide range to work in. And the problem is that working with cinchona bark that's really high, like somewhere in the 10 to 12%, is a lot different than working with it in the 4% range. So if I take 40 grams of this, do my extraction, and then add the 40 milliliters of extract from the 40 grams of cinchona bark, and if the cinchona bark has 4% quinine in it, then we're going to end up with, in a 19-liter corny keg, we're going to end up with roughly 84 milligrams per liter of quinine. So 1 milligram above the legal limit. However, if this were to have 12%, let's say we're kind of button up against the high end, you're going to have 252 milligrams per liter when you extract 40 grams of this with 40 grams of alcohol and add that to a 19-liter corny keg. How do you know? Unless you get a certificate of analysis from your supplier, you're not going to know. And that's the problem. You can do anything to yourself, and in my pineapple essence video on making a pineapple flavoring, I added chloroform and I drank it. But that's only on me. I would never serve that to someone else unless they knew exactly, they were in my private residence and they knew exactly what I was doing. When you're at a bar or you're making something of a commercial product, you have a different level where you have to take care of people. They are going to assume that you are doing everything within the law. So your quinine content is 83 milligrams or lower. That's the expectation, especially if they're taking certain medications, because the idea is 1 liter at 83 milligrams. If you're having one gin and tonic, you're only going to get roughly 20 milligrams of quinine in your drink. That's low enough to not be an issue. However, if you start having a couple gin and tonics that are, with 12% alkaloids, and you're at the 350 milligrams per liter, then you're starting to get into medical interaction. And if those people are on a medication, it may cause issues. So that is just something you need to be aware of. If you're just doing this for personal use, experiment, you should be relatively safe. When you make the extract, and I'll show you how to do that or give you some tips on that, when you end up with your 50 or 100 mils of extract, that is really concentrated. Keep it away from kids. Make sure you label it and don't drink from it. The content, the quinine content, the quinine alone is enough to cause problems. So if you're doing 4% quinine in 100 mils, that's not bad, but if it's more concentrated than that, then you start having problems. If anybody accidentally drinks that or thinks it's something that's not, so do label it. I am really cautious about this one because I'm here to educate you and make sure you do things safely. And I'm gonna repeat it over and over again, be safe when you do this. This is, whatever you do to yourself, that's fine, but when you're playing with other people's bodies and putting stuff into it that you make, you're responsible for that. So, with that being said, I think you get the point. Let me give you some tips on how to make this using an extract method. So actually making a cinchona bark extract is the same as making any other extract. So I have a video on how to make an extract. They're standardized. It's basically 100 grams of your cinchona bark and 100 grams of 65% alcohol. Now, obviously, people do have a hard time getting 65. It can be 60%. You can use vodka at 40%, but you do need to use alcohol because quinine is not soluble in water, or it's sparingly soluble in water. So you're only going to be able to get a half a gram in a liter of water. You're going to need to extract more than that for this. However, if you want to be on the safe side, extract it with water and see if you get that tonic flavor. And that may actually be a good way to control the amount of quinine you extract. But typically, quinine is soluble in alcohol, not really soluble in water. It's soluble enough in a drink at 82 milligrams per liter, but not much above that. And when you make a concentrated extract to add to, whether you're dosing it with a dropper or not, you're going to need to have it more concentrated to actually get that kind of bitter flavor that you're looking for. So again, vodka 40% is your minimum. And again, vodka's nice because it acts as a natural preservative. If you just use water, these will go bad pretty quick, or your solution will go bad pretty quick. Typically, when you do this, just watch the video on how to make an extract. You're basically going to put this in an open mouth funnel. It's easier to explain over on that video. That's what it's for. But this powder here is very fine, and it basically looks like baby powder or cinnamon powder. That's probably too fine for using it in this percolator. And a lot of people have asked why their extracts are becoming, they're not getting the yield that you want. It's mostly because these are really dry and really fine, so they're absorbing a lot more of the solvent alcohol than they should be. Typically an extract's supposed to be, a coarse grind, kind of like a coarse ground coffee when you put it in here, but typically this is too fine. And if I were to use this in here, it'd probably gum up and it'd probably get like a 50% yield, which is not enough. And then you have to put more alcohol through. So I can't recommend using a really fine powder. If you can actually find the bark and grind it up, that works. Now, at the pharmacies in the 1800s, they didn't use cinchona bark. They actually used quinine sulfate. And they just basically used raw, straight quinine because there are a couple of issues with this as well. First, it's got a lot of tannins in it, and those tannins can be quite harsh, so they often detanninated it. They did that using iron hydroxide, which will just bind up the tannins, cause it to precipitate out. Then you filter out all the tannins, and then you're left with the alkaloids that give the bitter flavor or the medicinal properties. There's a large preference for using just the pure quinine sulfate salts. Just because it didn't have the issues and they could dose it properly. Because otherwise they didn't, again, just like us, we didn't know, so they'd have to actually run tests on the bark to figure out what the content was. And pharmacists back in the 1800s still cared a lot about offering a proper dose. So that didn't change. It wasn't the Wild West at that time, though, you know, they could use whatever they wanted. They still cared about dosing properly. Now, another issue with this is that if you drink this regularly, like every day, like gin and tonic's your go-to drink, and you have 2 of them every day, and you do that for a year, you can end up with cinchonaism, which is kind of a reaction to the alkaloid quinine and quinidine and the few others in here. And it can cause ringing in the ears and lethargy and a few other symptoms. So take a break every once in a while, let your body catch up if you're a gin and tonic user and you're just making your own and you don't know the quinine levels. So, and one of the things you can do, if you want to test whether there is quinine in your tonic, you can do that by getting a UV light. And you'll see, I'll show you here. This is quinine, and that's water. So you'll see that one glows and the other one doesn't. So if I move it over, you'll be able to see that the quinine fluoresces. And most people kind of know this inherently. If they've ever been out to a bar and you order a gin and tonic and it's like a club and they got black lights, you'll see that your drink kind of glows. But yeah, it can glow quite intensely, and that's just a property of quinine. So that is a way to test. If you're doing an extract and you just want to see if you're getting quinine out, use a UV light, and they're pretty cheap, and it'll kind of give you some guidance on whether you're getting the quinine out. So here's the quick instructions for making a 19-liter keg of tonic water. And you're going to need 40 grams of your cinchona bark, and we're going to assume it's at 4%. And if you take that 4% and 40 grams and extract it with 40 mils of vodka, then you're going to take all 40 mils of that, and then you're going to add that to the keg, and that's going to give you a concentration of about 84 milligrams per liter. There's probably going to be some loss because there'll still be some quinine in your extract. So you'll be below the legal limit, but that's the max amount you can do. If you can find a place that supplies it and provides you a certificate of analysis on the quinine content, then you'll be better off. Anything above 4%, you're gonna have to start cutting it back. If you wanna make it bigger amounts, you're gonna have to become good at math, and you're gonna have to calculate out, assuming you can get the quinine content from your supplier, you're going to have to calculate that out, and it's going to be different for each concentration. So again, this is the problem with making tonic water. And again, I do not know how much is in here, so I'm not necessarily going to make it. I have something else I want to make with this, which is calisaya, which is kind of a flavored tonic water, kind of a liqueur actually. And you use less of this in it, and it's kind of safer to make, and it's got connections to the original Coca-Cola formula with simple elixir, and that is going to be another future video. That's why I bought this a little while ago. But tonic water, if you have questions about it, check out my Patreon. I can try to answer some of them. If you need help with calculations, I can help with that on Patreon. I don't do it on YouTube because there's too many responses to that. So Patreon, if you need help, go there. And eventually I will be doing a video on certain tools that will help you do calculations. So that once you figure out how to do your math, then you'll be making tonic water that is a lot safer. And that is what you need to do if you're going to be making it for other people. So that's all I have to say about tonic water. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.